Welcome to the Digital Insurance and Marketing Podcast. I am Basu, your host. Brent Smart is the Chief Marketing Officer of Insurance Australia Group, the largest general, or as they say in the US, P&C insurer in Australia. He is the first CMO in this podcast series and one of the very few CMOs in insurance to come from advertising. Prior to IAG, Brent was the CEO of the famous Saatchi and Saatchi New York office and worked on some of the iconic brands like Walmart, Cheerios, and Tide. Prior to Saatchi, he was managing director of BBDO San Francisco. Insurance is lucky to have people like him steering the industry closer to the consumer. Enjoy the conversation and pardon the poor recording of my questions.
Perhaps most boring folks on earth.
I know, they couldn't be more different, could they? It's crazy. After 20 years in the advertising business, I was getting increasingly frustrated with marketers. I felt like I kept bringing the right ideas to marketers and they weren't buying the right ideas. So I started thinking, well, what if I could actually be on the other side, and what if I could actually approve things and say yes to ideas? Maybe I could actually help more great ideas live and survive, in the real world. So that was the motivation. I never set out, though, to do that in insurance. That was more of a coincidence, really. So I started exploring options to go client side, to become a marketer. I wanted to work for a strong local Australian business where we could really control our own destiny. I wanted a business where brands were important and could play a big role. And the NRMA brand is incredibly important to the IAG business. And it was a chance to work on a really iconic Australian brand. And then the other thing I was looking for was the right level of autonomy, where I could make creative calls and I could really lead the brands. And that was also part of the reason why I joined IAG. What's interesting is, insurance is fascinating and it's such an interesting category to work in. And it's in many ways, as you said, it's a bit boring, it's a bit low involvement. People don't spend a lot of time thinking about insurance like they do other categories. But that's why I think marketing can make a massive difference, and creativity can make a massive difference. We can make it more interesting. We can make it matter, make people care about it. And so, it's turned out to be a really cool ride.
But what's your first recollection of insurance growing up?
Well, I don't know if I have a recollection of insurance growing up. It's funny because I've got 3 young kids, and when I try and explain the concept of insurance to them, it's such a alien concept for a child to get their head around insurance. So it's hard for me to say my first recollection of insurance as a kid. But my father, funnily enough, worked in life insurance for quite some time. So, after working in advertising agencies my whole career, he now thinks I've got a real job. I'm working for an insurance company. But he worked on the really complicated stuff, life insurance and superannuation and, the really complicated stuff. So, that's a great question, Basu. I don't think I have any childhood recollections of insurance. It was never something I sort of thought I'd be doing or set out to do,
What was the first product that you bought from insurance? Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, it would have been car insurance when I first started driving. I think that is the first insurance product for so many of us.
Mm-hmm. You remember the brand?
I don't actually. I don't remember the brand I first insured with.
That's okay. At least you remember the product. A lot of people, around the world don't remember the brand name. Most of them remember the agent's name. And that says a lot about marketing, where people easily recollect the name of the agent, but hardly remember the brand name. Why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think it is more of a case in a category like insurance, where a lot of people don't have a natural relationship with insurance. They don't come across insurance every day of their life. They don't interact with it that much. So they turn to an expert to help them. And that's why you see the broker model and the agent model be so prevalent in our industry. And in those models where it's intermediated, the brand relationship does become less important than the individual relationship with the broker or the agent. Now, what's really interesting about the Australian market and about the brands I work on is it's one of the most direct insurance markets in the world. NRMA Insurance, which is our biggest brand, is all sold direct, and it's an incredibly strong brand. It's a brand that has amazing levels of loyalty. A recent survey was done on the most trusted brands in Australia, and we are the fifth most trusted brand in Australia, which is amazing because insurance as a category isn't very trusted. So to be able to be so trusted as a brand, and we do have that really strong. It's almost like a bond with many of our customers within RMA. So it's quite different here. But I think to answer your question, I think the reason that so few people have a strong relationship with their insurance brand is because it's a product I don't touch very much. Like you think about the average customer and they interact with insurance when they first buy it and then when they claim, and they don't claim very often. So they don't have a lot of interaction with the category. It is a real low involvement sort of category. And then B, it's complicated. It's something that you do need help with to understand. And so I think that's why people do look for those experts who can help them navigate what is a pretty complicated product.
In Australia, Brent, is there an overall respect for the insurance business, or is it just a respect for the NRMA brand, and generally people don't trust insurance?
It's great. Sorry, Buster. Yeah, that's great question. So we are the most trusted brand in the category, and 46% of our customers trust that we will pay out the claim. So if you think about that another way, more than half still think we won't. So there is a big trust issue in insurance. And by the same token, trust becomes the most important driver for brands. If you're a trusted brand in this category, it's a huge differentiator. And it really does help you stand apart. So low trust in the category, but high trust in certain brands. And we really pride ourselves on, being there when people need us most. And I always say to people, you want to be with us if your house burns down, because we will do the right thing. We will look after you. We will provide temporary accommodation. We'll settle the claim as fast as possible. We really do the right thing by customers when they need us most. And I think that's why we have such strong trust. And certainly what we saw this summer with the bushfires in Australia, it was pretty horrific. And, our people were on the ground really helping these communities. And really, they're the people that earn the trust, is our frontline people who help these customers every day.
What's your brand's purpose?
So IAG as a whole has a purpose, which is very clear, and which we all, really believe in at IAG, and that is to make your world a safer place. And what I like about that is, some of these purposes, these corporate purposes that you read in annual reports, in PowerPoint, they can be very complicated. They can be very lofty. And what I love about ours, make your world a safer place, it's really simple. Like, my mum can totally understand what that purpose is about. Everyone who works at IAG can understand what that purpose is about. And also, I think safety is relevant to our business. It's not some sort of far-reaching goal that isn't relevant and close to our business. So I think it's a great purpose. So we make sure that each of the consumer brands within the IAG stable, fulfill that purpose and live up to that purpose. It does guide all our brands. Then we think about what's the individual positioning for each brand that can then set it apart. So for NRMA, our biggest brand, is positioned around the notion of help. Which is really powerful because that's ultimately what customers need. And also, I think if you think about the world right now, a little bit of help goes a long way.
Of course, yeah, especially now. So is that the role of marketing? The role of marketing is to further the brand purpose, or do you have, in addition to the brand purpose, is there other things that marketing needs to deliver?
Well, I think the role of marketing is to create future revenue for the company. That's what I think the role of marketing is. So I think what we do in marketing is the reason we build brands is that brands work in the long term, and what brands enable us to do is to start building mental availability, memory structures that mean that someone who might not be in the market today is more likely to buy from us tomorrow and into the future. And I can't think of any other function in a business that creates future revenue like that. There are a lot of functions that convert current demand that's in the marketplace, but marketing, I believe, creates future demand and future revenue. And that's why I think it's such a important and unique capability. The other thing that I think is really important in terms of what we do in marketing is if we build brands properly, then those brands can command a premium in the marketplace. You can charge more, for better brands. And that means that, companies are more profitable. And that is a huge commercial benefit that marketing can provide. So I tend to think about marketing more in those sort of bigger terms of we create future revenue and we create price premium. And those two things, I think, are immensely valuable for our organization and for any organization that does marketing well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Most people in insurance, I'm generalizing right now, don't really understand and sometimes don't even respect marketing. They don't think it's necessary. What's the view in IAG?
Well, I'd hope that because they hired me, Vasu, they think it is important. Yeah, look. I think you're right. I think that's true of most financial services, companies. I think marketing is not something that these companies grew up with or were built around. You take the great marketing organisations like Procter and Gamble and Unilever, and marketing is they're marketing companies essentially is what they are. Whereas financial services companies tend to be more product-driven companies, and look, they're highly complex products, heavily regulated. You can kind of understand why they are, focused the way they are. But I think it's changing, and I think what insurance companies and financial service companies are seeing is that marketing is a great differentiator, and particularly brand is a great differentiator. And a lot of our products are pretty commoditized. They're easily copied. And so brand can be this great competitive advantage if you do it well and do it properly. So I think it's changing, and I think you're seeing, more insurance companies and financial services companies start to understand the power of marketing, understand the power of brand. And I think that they've, a lot of them have hired people from outside the category who bring a different lens, who bring experience of working in more brand-driven categories and are able to then come in and really demonstrate the power of brand, really demonstrate how marketing works, demonstrate the effectiveness, and then I think it becomes much more valued within the organisation. And that's certainly been the case for us at IAG. I've been there sort of 3.5 years now, and our marketing has been very effective, and we've been able to really show the business the power of effective marketing. And suddenly, you start getting a lot of support, you start getting a lot of understanding, and it really does change how marketing is perceived and valued within the company.
That's great. Where does digital marketing sit? Does that sit with you or the chief digital officer?
So digital marketing sits with me, but the digital experience sits within the digital and tech team. So we tend to work very closely together because, let's face it, there's no use having digital marketing, digital advertising that is driving to an experience that doesn't live up to the brand or live up to the promise. So we tend to work in a really integrated, cross-functional way to make sure that we're delivering experiences that are, data-driven, that are digital, and to make sure there's that sort of consistency between the marketing and the actual experience. But all the main digital marketing levers sit with me: search, display, social. We're driving all of that out of the marketing team.
Do you have your own people, or do you rely on a mix of agencies?
Yeah, no. So I'm a huge fan and supporter of agencies. Right, I grew up in agencies, and I believe agencies can provide incredible value, and I'll come on to that in a minute. But yeah, we've built in-house capability, and I think it makes a hell of a lot of sense to have certain capabilities and functions in-house. So we have a really strong social capability, including content creation, and we're able to make all our own social content. And we can do it quickly, and we can do lots of it, which is what you need in today's world. Search, we have search in-house. We do our own display, media buying in-house. Our one-to-one function, all our data-driven customer marketing, that's all done in-house. And we do have a creative studio in-house that creates some of our content, but not all of our content, but certainly some of our content. Then I look to agencies to provide a level of creativity that we couldn't bring ourselves, because let's face it, we're an insurance company. We're not going to be the place that really, really creative people want to work. We don't have the right culture to attract and keep the most creative people in the world. And that's what agencies give us. Agencies give us the ability to tap into creative talent that we couldn't otherwise hire ourselves. But the other thing that agencies do, which I think is so important, is, we end up becoming so close to the categories we work in, particularly in insurance, right? Like it's a very specialist kind of category that we forget to look outside to other categories. And I think what agencies bring is an outside perspective, and that keeps us honest, and that makes us look up from our own internal worlds to really understand what's going on in culture, what's going on with consumers, and I think that makes our marketing much better. So I really value that outside perspective that agencies bring, and especially the way they can come and challenge our thinking and push our thinking to a more creative place.
Absolutely. I mean, that's ideally when an agency works well, when they do that. Where does marketing analytics sit? Do you have that team with you, or do you have a different data science group, or do you work with an agency to help you with the marketing analytics?
Yeah, well, being insurance companies are really data companies, aren't they? And always have been. I mean, I think the data capability inside insurance companies, certainly ours, is really impressive. So we've got a really strong analytics team, and I lean on them heavily for my analytical work. But I also have, within the marketing function, I've built what I call an effectiveness team, who are really focused on how our marketing works and what commercial results our marketing is delivering, and doing things like really solid PIRs to understand how our campaigns have worked. We have a marketing dashboard that they are, keeping a close eye on and advising us how to optimize as things are in flight. So having an effectiveness function, I think, is really, really important, and we take that really seriously. The other thing they do is they are really closely across all the effectiveness literature that's out there. There's so much from the IPA in the UK, from legends like Peter Field and Les Burnett and Byron Sharp, and there's so much literature and research out there. So we want to really be across all that, and especially as new research and new findings, come to the fore around effectiveness, we want to be right across that, and then make sure we bring in and it influences how we think about our marketing.
That's wonderful. After COVID-19, have you changed the way you're doing marketing right now?
It's interesting. I mean, COVID obviously has been a massive challenge for everyone. So we actually pivoted our marketing very quickly in response to COVID, and it seems to have worked pretty well. So the first thing we did was here in Australia, in March, mid-March, was when our sort of first lockdowns happened. And look, we've done a good job in Australia in terms of getting on top of the virus compared to other places, because we were quite aggressive with our lockdown in March. And so that then sort of, I believe, created an opportunity for marketers. And that opportunity was twofold. One, suddenly you've got everyone at home, and their media consumption has completely changed. They're spending more time consuming media, but B, obviously it's mainly digital media, right? So we saw a big change in media consumption. It really spiked, particularly digital video, and there's some real opportunities there. And the second thing that happened pretty quickly was a bunch of categories, as we know, were put under immense pressure. Thank God insurance wasn't one of them, but some categories just were under immediate pressure, and they had to suddenly pull back their advertising and their media spend, so that combination of spiking media audiences and certain brands pulling back, I felt created a share of voice opportunity for brands that were willing to invest and able to invest. So we actually increased our media spend for the April quarter by 65%. We doubled down. We thought, right, here's an opportunity, and we went big on television, but we also went big on digital. We increased our digital impressions by 75%, so we nearly doubled them. And we went hard, right? But the important thing was there was no use going hard with sales activations because there was no demand. Australians were more worried about getting their hands on toilet paper and hand sanitizers. They weren't thinking about switching their insurance. And we saw the category really, in terms of demand and in terms of new business volumes, the category fell off a cliff basically. But we saw it as a share of voice opportunity and a brand building opportunity. So we went really hard on investing in the brand at a time when other brands were pulling back and we're sort of not sure what to do. We struck quickly. What's interesting is by the end of May, our new business volumes were already back to pre-COVID levels.
That's nice.
So we bounced back faster than the category and faster than we expected because we kept the brand visible. We kept investing in the brand. And then we thought, okay, well, now demand's back. Maybe now's the time to come in with an offer. So we worked with a bunch of the teams internally, and we came up with an offer which was a third-party fire and theft product for $10 a month. And the thinking was there's a whole bunch of really good customers. They're good risk, they're profitable, but they're being forced into downgrading their insurance or cancelling their insurance because of the economic conditions. So we thought if we could provide this product that was a good product for $10 a month, not a comprehensive product, but a really good product, we thought we could really attract a whole bunch of customers. We launched it on the 6th of June, and we wrote 70,000 policies in 6 weeks.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is massive. Is massive, yeah. So I felt like the way we responded to COVID was a really good combination of the brand building and the sort of short-term activations, but we did them in the right sequencing. And that's what I'm super passionate about. I talk all the time about the long and the short of marketing working together. You've got to be building the brand and converting demand simultaneously. It's an and, not an or. You need to do both. And so the way we responded to COVID was that real sort of long and short response. And so to answer your question, I know this has been a really long rambling answer, but to really answer your question, it hasn't changed how we approach marketing. I still believe in that long and short working together and building the brand. And it hasn't changed at all how we approach marketing. It's just that we were very agile in how we responded to it. And I think that's the change I'd like to really hang on to is you need to pivot. You need to work at the speed of culture. You need to respond to what's going on in the market. Speed is so important in today's world, as marketers.
Even more now. Across the funnel, what are your challenges? What challenges are you facing? Is it towards more the upper acquisition, retention, or having them come back and buy, cross-selling?
Yeah, great question. Our retention is incredibly strong, because as I said earlier, really strong brand with very loyal customers. I mean, we've got fantastic retention rates. Our challenge is more how you grow because we're a big incumbent leading brand with huge scale. So growth is a challenge. So attracting those new customers is a challenge, and also because we're a premium brand, we're a bit more expensive than the competition. Conversion can be a challenge as well because people like the brand, they trust the brand. They come to us, get a quote, and then if you're price conscious, then we're probably going to be a bit too expensive for a lot of customers. So yeah, that's sort of our challenge, and it's really interesting thinking about how different media works at different stages of the funnel. So we're really clear on what works well from a brand building point of view. We have it's a screen strategy because there's no doubt video builds emotion and is the greatest brand building channel. We also love out of home as well for brand building, great for visibility. There's a reason why the Netflixes and Apples of the world use so much out of home. It's a fantastic brand building medium. And then at the bottom end of the funnel, I mean, search is the killer app, I think, in our category, because the challenge for us always is, with our customers, we know when they're renewing, but we don't know when the competition is, we don't know when customers from the competition are renewing. But the best signal we get as to someone being in the market is they search, right? They search car insurance or home insurance, and that you just have to be there. It's the the most important channel, I think, at the bottom end of the funnel. Then the big question is, like, what do you do in between? Social's definitely got a role to play, and has been really strong for us when people are more at that sort of discovery stage versus like pure conversion. But we actually, with our marketing dashboard, we've actually matched the dashboard to the funnel so that we're watching how the different metrics are working through the funnel and where we might have some challenges. Like, for instance, the thing we watch most closely is we have an aggregated view of the amount of sales traffic we're driving across all channels, digital, calls, branches, and that's the thing we watch.
What's your favorite insurance campaign?
Am I allowed to pick my own? No, I won't do that. I'll pick someone else's. Look, I lived in the States for many years, and Geico, I think, is a fantastic brand that does a lot of great work in the States. And they did this really awesome campaign a couple of years back. It was actually pre-roll video, right, on YouTube mainly. And the brilliant thing was the ads, they started at the end of the ad. So they said, you can't skip this ad because it's already over. And then they let the ad sort of play out. And so, for instance, one is a scene where a family's having dinner and they're all sort of frozen at the dinner table. And suddenly the dog just jumps up on the table and starts eating the food and, starts rummaging around the table. And, it's just really fresh and really different. And so I think they have consistently done great work. And I love that stuff from Geico, really strong. But to be honest, I tend to look outside the category for inspiration. I'm hugely inspired by the work that Burger King does in the States. I think their work is just consistently incredible. And the moldy Whopper is the thing I'm most jealous of in the last little while, where to show there was no preservatives in the Whopper, they showed a Whopper decomposing over a month. And it sounds gross, but they turned it into art. It was absolutely beautiful and amazing. So, Burger King I'm inspired by. I mean, Nike I'm always inspired by. I think they're the best emotional storytellers in the world, and they just do it time and time again. And I tend to look outside the category for inspiration.
Yeah, and your own favorite campaign from IAG?
Yeah, good question. We've done some good ones. I mean, the one that's won the most awards was one called Safety Hub, which picked up a few Lions last year at Cannes, and it was really a different way of thinking about how insurance works. So what it was basically it was an app that encouraged people to complete some tasks around their home to make their home safer. So the thought was, like, let's be proactive and let's prevent things from happening rather than paying out after something bad happens and people make a claim. Why don't we actually pay out beforehand by rewarding people for being safer? So flipping the whole kind of model on its head. So as an example, we looked at our claims data, and the biggest cause of home floods in Australia was a thing called a flexi hose, which is like a flexible metal hose which is in kitchens and bathrooms, and these things just burst after, I don't know, 10 years or something. So we thought, well, why don't we get people to check them? And we used the app so people knew what to look for. They went and checked these flexi hoses, and if someone had a problem, a faulty flexi hose, we paid for a plumber to come out and change the hose for them. So it was less of an ad and more of an experience. It was using data and technology in an interesting way, and kind of really flipping the whole insurance model. So that's probably my favorite thing that we've done since I've been at IAG, because I just get really excited about the potential of, how we can use technology and data in creative ways.
That's it. Well, did you do any advertising around it?
Yeah, some, but it was more of a, to be honest, it was more of a customer experience. So we trialed the product with about 200,000 customers. And really, it was more about that, more about getting the technology in the hands of customers, getting them to use it, seeing if they would engage. And now that's the other great thing about it too is, as I said earlier, customers just don't engage with insurance companies that often. And this provided a way for customers to have more regular engagement, because they do these little safety tasks. If you do one a month, that's a lot more engagement than you have currently with your insurance company. So I think it's got massive potential to really change the way people experience the product and the level of engagement they have with us. So we're looking to scale it, and we're in planning for that at the moment. But that's probably the idea that I think, look, I've made some ads I'm really proud of, and they're classic sort of emotional storytelling advertising. But I get more excited about moving more into this sort of space where technology and data can be used in creative ways.
Do you have challenges recruiting young people? Do they want to join insurance, or they think they would rather go and work for Google or Facebook?
Well, look, they definitely would prefer to work for Google. Let's face it. But no, not really, because we won Marketing Team of the Year last year, which was really pretty big deal because no one expected a marketing team from an insurance company to win it. But I think if you are doing really great creative work that's really being noticed, I like to win creative awards not for vanity, but because it attracts talent. People want to come and work for companies that are doing innovative things and creative things. I want to be a part of that. And so, that's enabled us to attract great talent. And the other thing is too, it's a momentum thing. Once you hire a few good people, they hire other good people, and it becomes a momentum thing. You start attracting even better people. So we actually have managed to hire some incredible talent in our team. That I'd say there's trepidation about insurance, but once they sort of see the work we're doing, hear the story and the vision we've got, then we don't have too much trouble attracting people.
So I'll ask you questions, Brent. Has marketing changed under your leadership over the last couple of years at IAG?
At IAG?
No.
I'd hope so. Yeah. Yeah. It's changed a lot. I think it's changed. Like the type of marketing we do has definitely changed. Much more focused on brand building, which I think is really, really important. I think previously we were doing a lot more short-term tactical things, and now we're doing more strategic brand building. We've got clear long-term positionings, and I think that's obviously really important. I think that the capability in marketing has really changed. So I talked earlier about the in-house capabilities that we've built. Another really important in-house capability I didn't mention was brand strategy. I've built a really strong brand strategy team. 20 years in agencies, I never once came across a marketing team that had as good a strategic capability as an advertising agency. And I thought, that's pretty crazy. I want to have a agency style strategic planning capability. So we built great capability that wasn't there before. And the effectiveness has massively increased. On sort of every level. Our branding scores are better. We've grown market share, and also importantly, things like how much it costs us to get a point of cut through. We're 20 times more efficient now than we were 3 years ago. So it's just kind of getting better and better. So yeah, I'd like to think it's changed a lot since I've joined. But the thing I think that's most important for me is I think marketing is taken much more seriously at IG than it was. And I believe that I have a seat at the table and I'm able to influence the direction of the company in a really positive way. And that's why I love my job, and that's why I kind of, am one of the few CMOs who doesn't complain. I'm pretty happy.
So when you hang up your boots, Brent, what do you want to be remembered for?
I'd like to be remembered for the work that I leave behind. So I'm all about doing great creative work. As I said to you at the very start of this chat, it's the reason I wanted to become a CMO was because I wanted to be able to say yes to ideas. I wanted to be able to approve ideas and make them happen. So I'd like to be known for doing great creative work that no one expected to come from insurance. Great creative work that is popular. Like I say, I want to do work that my mum loves and a can jury loves. I want it to be equal parts popular and equal parts really original and really inventive. And so that's how I like to be remembered, by the work, by leaving behind some really great work.
That's nice to hear. Any last thoughts you want to share with the listeners on any topic that I haven't answered? Asked you a question.
I would just say that, one of my favorite sort of sayings is there's no such thing as low involvement products. There's only low involvement marketing. So I would say that no matter what product you're working on, what, insurance, highly complex and specialty insurance, whatever it is, whether it's B2B or B2C, there is an opportunity for creativity to make that product more interesting, more engaging, and to matter more to people. And I think that's a worthwhile pursuit. So I'd say go for it. Go for it. Creativity can make a difference no matter what product you're working on. I think it's also just way more fun doing creative things and doing boring things. So I'd leave people with that thought, Vasu, that there's no such thing as low involvement products, only low involvement marketing.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Brent, for your time. Have a great week ahead.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It's a fun chat.